Would you work for 8 months at a job and not get paid for it? How can somebody actually make that sacrifice?
I had no client. I would just pick whatever brand that I was interested in and write one email every single day. And I was doing that grinding. And then after 8 months, I got my first client.
How did you write for so many different avatars in such a short time?
Then how that led to more connections, that sometimes the greatest feedback does not come from copy experience, but more so from life experience.
To make significant change in your life, it does require you to press pause on some stuff for a while.
Traveling all the time, right? And it's before I was working 9 to 5 and just experience life at a different level.
What kind of things were you doing on your way to 6 figures that you would say like actually contributed to growth?
Always over deliver. I think these are the habits that really served me at the beginning. That is a big topic. If I were to do it again, I would.
Today we're here with Harrison G, one of the best copywriters that I've ever worked with, and actually one of the first copywriters I've ever had the privilege of coaching and actually, getting to know and becoming friends with. And Harrison's done a lot of stuff in the industry. He's written for all the biggest industries: the relationship space, health space, wealth, biz up space. And he's too humble to actually say it, but he's made millions for his clients, and he's really, really good at his craft. So Harrison, thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure to chat. And if I can contribute something to this podcast, then I'm really, really glad.
Yeah, I'd love to know, like, how did you even get into copywriting in the first place?
Getting into copywriting, that was like almost 5 years ago. So basically I was doing phone sales, high ticket closing. And I think that's how we met initially. And I was fascinated by the idea of making income online, be able to travel, be able to have that time, location freedom. But then very soon, after doing, phone sales for about 2 or 3 months, like full time, I realized that was too much of, just too much stress. And I didn't want to depend on my prospect's schedule to set my schedule. And so basically that got me into looking elsewhere into different areas. I looked at marketing. I think you played a big role in getting me into that area, Peter Lu. And I looked at others starting agencies, doing e-commerce, but doing some thinking, I thought, yeah, probably copywriting was the best option. And the good news was, because of doing sales, I was talking to prospects, that I think direct interaction with the prospects that really helped. Helped me to really get into their head and be able to write copy that kind of speak to them. So that was kind of the beginning. And you helped me, like I mentioned, you're one of my first coaches, and definitely helped me a lot in terms of getting my skills up to speed, getting the clients, and just really feeling confident in my own skills. So that was kind of the beginning.
I remember in the early days, you sent like 2,000 outreach messages, maybe even more. And you told me, and I just couldn't believe that you had done so much, because most people are like, oh, I sent 100 messages. And no, you were like, no, sent 2,000 messages and closed these clients. How did you close that first client?
The first client, the very, very first client, that was actually from cold email. I think I was just, Googled how to close copywriting clients, and I said, send cold email. So I just thought, basically, let me see. I think I just went on Google to because I was in sales at that time, so I just looked at sales training companies, and I emailed them, hey, my name's Harrison. This is what I do. I think this is what I can do for you. So if you're interested, reply back to me. And ironically, the first company that replied back to me, they were looking for, any copywriters. They were looking for someone to get their ebook done. So I was like, sounds close enough. Let me do this. So I actually had to learn, all the Adobe stuff to design and to create ebooks. But either way, that was my first project. It was like $200, I think, $300.
You wrote the whole book for $300?
Yes, and they're still selling, not selling it, but using it as a free lead magnet.
Oh wow!
Till this day, it was $300, and I had to do first payment $150, and the other $150 upon project completion. Now thinking about it, I was like kind of pathetic, but hey, that's how we get started.
That's how you started. I mean, going from $300 to like now, $150, like just one email that you might write for a business. Yeah, it's good progress.
Yeah. But the 2,000 outreach messages that you sent, yeah, that was for sure, and it's legit. I actually still have the document that I used, the Google Sheet,
Yeah.
to just to organize and make sure that I don't miss anybody. I don't double send anybody because I was sending so much, and yeah, I got blocked by Instagram a couple times, but definitely worth it. Yeah.
So you sent most of those on Instagram then?
On Instagram, yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram. And sometimes I follow up with email, but I found Instagram at that time, that was 4 or 5 years ago, to be more efficient for me.
It's crazy. It's actually been 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a moment. Yeah. I think as a copywriter, like you can sit behind the computer and work for so long that suddenly you blink and it feels like it's just all. It'll just happen. At least for me, it was like very, very, like it's been 5 years. I can't even believe that we were sitting in Vancouver talking like 5 years ago, almost.
5 years ago.
Yeah, about 5 years ago. Yeah, 2019. Yeah, yeah. It's been exactly a year. I mean, 5 years.
For me, I'm very grateful because copywriting is what allowed me to be able to. I was living in Toronto at that time, so I was able to leave Toronto, move to Mexico, travel around, and just experience, life at a different level. Because before I was working 9 to 5, so that was, one lifestyle that would, probably 2 weeks of paid vacation every year, and copywriting allowed me to basically traveling all the time, right? And so that was kind of like a privilege that I'm extremely grateful for. And I think because of that, I feel time just fly by so fast because I'm always going from one place to the other. Eventually, I settle down, but while I was traveling, moving around, time just feel like it's going by so fast.
Yeah, no, I get that because when you travel, like a lot of cool stuff happens, but it also is like the pace of life is quite quick in the internet marketing space, and copywriting and like living online can be quite a process, quite quick. You were in the 9 to 5 while you were getting started as a copywriter, right? Like when you were sending those
Yes.
emails, you actually still had it. Like this is the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, like I have a 9 to 5. I'm way too busy to get started as a copywriter. Like I've got a 9 to 5. I got a life. I've got all these other things. And then you came along and you sent 2,000 cold messages on Instagram while you had a 9 to 5 and closed clients and wrote that ebook for $300. Like, how did you do it?
Man, it's a lot of sacrifice. At that time. I think it helped because it was COVID and all that, so I didn't have to go to the office, and nobody's there to like supervising me, looking at me, coming to my desk all the time. So I had the privilege of just having my work laptop here, and as soon as I finish my work, my official work, and I can just do copy stuff. And also I think just be mindful of the sacrifice that I had to make. For example, at that time I was going to sleep at 9 p.m., waking up at 5, work for like 4 hours, and logging in to my work 9 to 5 at 9, obviously, and after work it's pretty much copy all over again. So yeah, kind of like working 2 jobs at a time, and definitely it was not a permanent solution. I was aware that just need to make the temporary sacrifice to get this thing going. My goal at that time was if I could make the same amount of money as my day job, which was I think around, after tax I was taking home about 3,000 US, every month. So not a lot, very easy goal to hit. But at that time, it seems like it was just I don't even know if I could ever make it, because I was only making $300 from creating that ebook. So I have to make like 10 ebooks every week. I don't know, 10 ebooks every month to make that income. So anyways, I had that goal and just breaking it down. Okay, if I take one client and I make like 1,500, and I have 2 clients, then I'll be able to make it. And then what happened was, I was doing that grinding, just sacrifice. And I think it was around July, which was 8 months after I started copywriting. So just now thinking back, was able to endure that 8 months of, working insane hours and not really seeing a lot of return. And then after 8 months, I got my first retainer client at around 2,500. And then 2 weeks after that, getting the first one, I got another 2,500 retainer. So instantly, my income got up to like $5,000 retainer. And I stayed at my job for another 2 months just to be sure. And then in September, I quit my job and never looked back.
Never looked back, man. That's amazing.
Yeah. Exciting moment for sure. If not really surreal, honestly.
Mm-hmm. It does feel a little bit weird at first that you don't have to go anywhere. I mean, I know COVID changed things for a little while, but like the fact that it's all just happening, you're kind of generating the income for yourself, and it's not just a job with a paycheck. It is very empowering. But a lot of people don't make the sacrifice up front. Like the 8 months, people say like, oh, like it was 5 years ago, so it must have been so easy to close clients back then. There was so many less people. But it's like, well, from what you're telling me, you put in a full-time job for 8 months without seeing almost any return. Who works for 8 months with an employee's like belief system, right? If you have an employee, some people call it maybe like a mindset, or like I would just say like the beliefs of an employee, like the way you think that you should make money. And would you work for 8 months at a job and not get paid for it? How can somebody actually make that sacrifice? Because some people just don't want to make the sacrifice, but they want the result. And it's like, you have to make the sacrifice, but some people just don't have that. They just don't have the drive yet, or like they need somebody to help them get that. Like, how would you help them to, I don't know, like want it more?
For me, it was really the only choice for me to get out of that job. So it was kind of like, you're just back against nothing, basically. That was the only option. And the only variable was how long it would take me to get to the other side. And I just thought, if I make the sacrifice, go harder. Right now, it would take me shorter, and that's basically how I was able to endure. And it was not easy. I'm not saying that it's easy. I probably cried a couple times. Felt depressed on multiple occasions, wanted to give up. And I remember, because at that time, I was paying multiple coaches, different coaches. I think later on I started working with you, but at that time I was just running out of money. It was like, I have no money to pay for this coach for one more month, and I had to borrow money from my parents because I was literally, I have no idea, I'm ready to give up. And my mom was like, and before I started, I tried different ways to make money online, kind of like drop shipping, selling products on Amazon, or starting an ebook, like the Kindle stuff. My mom was like, kind of suspicious, and this copywriting thing. And she was like, this sounds legit, I can see how this works. So she was really supportive and helped me pay for another month of the copy coaching. So
nice.
And more important was the support that I got from her. Especially at that time, I didn't have a lot of interaction with other people. So having that support from people that are closest to me, that was really important. And also just surrounding myself with others that are actually living that lifestyle. Um, I don't recall, how many, but I was in some of the, you can call it masterminds, you can call it small groups. Just we meet with other few writers, we meet together on a weekly basis, we're going to break down copy, we're kind of help each other. So that helped a lot because really gave me the perspective of, it's just a process. This guy is doing pretty much the same thing as me, doing outreach, and now he got a call, boom, he got a new client, and gave me the hope that I could do something similar as well. And I think seeing the possibility, I think that was really important. And other than that is just really. Sometimes I don't like having tunnel vision, but at that time I think having that tunnel vision, seeing that as my only way out, really helped me.
Yeah.
Because I just blocked all the other possibilities. I wasn't when I was kind of feeling down or feeling frustrated by the process, I didn't look for okay, perhaps I should do dropshipping now because it's been 3 months. Or I didn't say I probably should start an agency because it's been 5 months. I really saw copywriting as my only solution, and I think it served me well in that situation. I was able to endure the hard times.
I'm definitely on the same page about the tunnel vision being necessary, because I think that you need to have a certain level of obsession and focus, and sometimes other parts of your life have to go on pause. You look at all the gurus like all the gurus today, they say like, oh, life is great, lifestyle, you can have all this stuff. That's what their life looks like maybe now that they've got all these people buying their course and stuff. But if you look at the early days of their career, and not just gurus, even like real entrepreneurs and like real successful people, you look at all of those people, they all were like very focused on what they wanted to accomplish, and they put most of their other priorities on pause. Like they didn't even go to the gym as much. They didn't even eat that much. They didn't even sleep as much. They didn't have relationships with friends as much. I remember in the early days, I actually lost quite a few friends because I just never made an effort to connect with them because I was just so focused on copywriting, And fortunately, my very close friends, it's like, we don't have to talk for a few months, and then if we talk again, it's like we're good. So I prefer friends like that anyway, because those are the kind of people I like to be close with. But I did have some friends that I remember I was like hustling, and they're like, hey, let's go rock climbing. It was like, let's go rock climbing. Let's go work out. Let's go do something together this evening. Let's go play board games at a board game cafe. Let's do this. Let's do that. And let's do this, and let's play video game or whatever. And I'd be like, just didn't reply. Just like, hey man, busy working, Oh, you're working, okay, And I was like, just working. I was just tunnel vision, obsessed, focused. And yeah, I don't think that there is any alternative way to do this if you want some significant return from it. I think you can maybe make a decent income. I mean, you and I, we know some copywriters who make, let's say, like 3K, 4K a month, and they've kind of stayed at that range for quite a few years, and they managed to get this like medium quality lifestyle. But to like make significant change in your life, significant change, like transformational change, does require you to press pause on some stuff for a while.
Yeah. That's for sure. And again, I feel like the timing, it also works right because it was the pandemic and all that, so I didn't really have a lot of options to go out to hang out with people. I couldn't even go to the gym, so that helped because I wasn't like consciously rejecting these alternatives. It was just not an option. And I had kind of one of these struggles when I moved from Canada to Mexico, because all of a sudden, there are a ton more distractions that I can, basically entertain with, right? I can go out, I can visit different touristy spots, I can meet people, I can make friends, and I can hang out. And all of a sudden, the time that I could dedicate to my work, it dropped, and I had to, get myself used to that and really create a balance at that time so that I don't neglect my work, because otherwise it would it basically just cut the source of income, and I would never want that to happen.
How did you know what was important to prioritize when you were getting started as a copywriter? Like, what do you actually do when you sit behind the computer? Because that's like the thing for people that are like making very little or haven't even got in the game. They're like sitting there and they feel productive, but like you don't know. You haven't made money yet. You haven't really like what does a day look like in a 6-figure copywriter's life?
You mean if I were a beginner or just like right now?
Well, I would say like the behavior and the habits that you get in the early days are the same habits that you have as a 6-figure copywriter. You know, it's like it's the things I was doing when I was making 5K a month. I actually knew when I was making 5K. I like did the math and I was like, I'm being paid. It's like 5K, right? So like 5K around maybe 4K, something like that. The Canadian dollars 5K. I was like, all right, being paid 4K. I'm doing easily $15,000 of work if I was working with clients independently and I'm not in-house working for this business. If I was doing the same amount of work, I'd easily be making 15K. So my habits in terms of the output I was producing per day, I already knew I was creating 15K income from the work I was doing. It was just a matter of getting the clients. So for me, it was quite simple. I was like, okay, so I'm going to let go of the full-time gig and I'm going to go get those 3 clients. And I did. And actually you helped me with that as well, right? Because you introduced me to a great coach and I got into a really great network and I got actually one of the best clients I ever worked with through that network. So I was like really appreciate that. It was really cool. But like the habits were the same habits from before. Like nothing really changed. And I think that people don't correlate that because in a job, maybe you feel like if you want to get certain results, you have to do more of something. Whereas with like copywriting, I don't know, it's like I did the same stuff and I got 3 times more money from doing the same thing. That seems counterintuitive. So that's why I asked you, like, what kind of things were you doing on your way to 6 figures that made up the day that you would say like actually contributed to growth and not just, like what does a day look like? No.
And yeah, that was very helpful, to give me the context of what the question is about. And the first thing I want to say is like I was, in no way consistent in doing these things. These are the right things that I knew I should do, and I wasn't doing these at all times. But when I was doing them, I could see the benefit, I could see the results, I can see the fruits of these actions. And I think there are, obviously doing client work, that's like the basic, right? Being on time, do basically the basic responsibilities, do whatever report that I was supposed to do, send whatever email, submit whatever copy. I didn't really count these. I think the extra stuff that really helped me at the beginning as well as later in my career, first of all, is really just sharpening the skill. There's something that I did more so at the beginning. Even just this morning, I was going through my Google Drive and I saw this file, this folder that was called 1 email a day. So basically, I was writing 1 email a day when I was starting out, and I literally, went in there and saw, okay, this day an email, that day an email, that an email. So I had no client, I had no, prospects that I was working with. I would just pick whatever company or brand that I was interested in and write them. I write 1 email from their voice every single day. So that's what I was doing back then.
I love that.
I think
that's so cool.
It helped me tremendously. And also getting feedback from these emails, right? And then the second thing was really to consume and keep myself updated of what the industry is about, where it's going, what are the big news, what are the new funnels, what are the new creatives. That really helped me whenever I do them. I would go on because obviously I think to be a good copywriter you don't have a swipe file, right, or the junk email inbox. So I always go there just without any intention, without any goal. I just sit there and read through some of the emails, and oftentimes I was like see an email and I was like, wow, that email was really good, and would see a VSL that caught my attention. I would go in there, watch like 5-10 minutes, and or sometimes I would see different companies promoting the same product, and that tells you that product is doing really well. And I go in there to see, okay, why they're all promoting this product. And I used to do that a lot when I was working with health companies. In relationships, it's more I just naturally consume this these content. I don't really, have to force myself to do that. And the other thing is just maintaining communication with connections. I think even more important now than back then, because back then I think 4 or 5 years ago, a beginner copywriter could do cold outreach and then get really good results. Perhaps send out 10 emails and then get one reply, and that could turn into a client. But right now, because how the industry has developed, I feel like cold outreach, it has become more saturated, right? So having connection, having people that you trust, that trust you, that's become even more important. So I would, just go on Facebook to see, hey, it's so-and-so's birthday, send out a birthday message. And sometimes that would lead to, hey, we've been up to, long time no chat. And sometimes these conversations actually lead to referrals. For example, this morning, I was just chatting with another kind of fractional CMO, and she has recommended me to, work with 2 other companies so far. And I met her through another company, through another opportunity that came from referral. So that was like referral leading to referral, leading to referral. And that's just, a circle that's going to grow bigger and bigger. And she was telling me, hey, I found this company. They have all the right infrastructure. They have the right product, the right audience. And we just need someone that knows the game. And then, I thought of you. So yeah, we're talking about perhaps collaborating together. So whenever I do cultivate these relationships, I get that not immediate return, but over the long term, I always get that return. And apart from that, just do the good work, whatever that you promise, whatever that the project is about. Just make sure that always over deliver, or at least deliver what you promised, and then even better, just over deliver. I think these are the habits that really served me at the beginning as well as later in my career, including right now. I'm not writing 1 email every day as practice, but I do write email for clients. I write email for myself, for my own list, and it's just keeps the sharpening the sword, basically.
I like that a lot. Those 3. I didn't think of the second one, and the first one makes a lot of sense. Like I've told people before, if you want to get started now with the saturation of outreach and the noise from beginners, you really want to start building yourself a portfolio of emails, even if you don't necessarily have any clients. Just start writing every single day for real businesses. Don't do practice stuff for nobody. Practice as if you were writing for a real business. But I like that. 1 email a day is really reasonable and achievable. And it's actually not easy in the beginning, because if you start out, when I first started, it took me like a day to write an email when I first got started, So it's like, I took like a whole week to write just 5 emails, and I was like, this is good work, And the copy guy like tore it apart, and he's like, this is okay, but like this could be better. So now I can write maybe 5 emails in the morning, and I think that's just, it's almost like the push-ups or the fundamental workout, the fundamental exercises, like your bench press for the day, You got to do a little bit of working out every morning. I like the funnel thing. I think a lot of people don't realize how important it is to just be in touch with what everybody's saying in the market. I love that, because now that you mentioned it, I think about it, a lot of copywriters, because I'm coaching a lot of people, right? So I see lots of different businesses and different offers and different funnels, and so being like a fly on the wall in like over 100 businesses, just indirectly through coaching, I see all these offers. When I see copy and I'm giving feedback on it, I'm like, have you seen so-and-so's offer and like how they present that message and like their sales argument and their pitch? And then the person's like, no. And I'm like, how about this person? And then they're like, no. And I say, what about this offer? And then the copywriter's like, no. I'm like, okay, but the top 3 competitors that you're writing copy against, you don't even know their names. That's why you're struggling with this copy. It's nothing to do with the words. Like, you don't know what the market is doing. Like, do you know your top competitors? And I think it's like, as a copywriter, I'll ask you, if you're watching this or listening to this, it's like, whoever you're writing for right now, or whoever you want to write for, do you know them? And like maybe the 3 or 4 closest competitors or people dominating the market. Because all the best I've worked with, all the best business owners and marketing directors, one of the number one things that they always do is they're always referencing the competitor. Oh, so-and-so is doing this right now. So-and-so is doing that right now. So-and-so just said this the other day. So-and-so pitched like this. And I heard this really cool pitch the other day. First time I've heard it, but I know it's quite popular with in some like older direct response. It's it's like, you don't have to make this decision today. Yes or no. You don't have to decide this today. You can buy now.
Yeah. All I ask is that you give it a try.
You give it 30 days, right? Like, but I love it. It's like, you don't have to decide today. You can buy now and not have to decide for the first 30 to 60 days. And after you've gone through the product, then you can decide if you want this or not. And I was like, oh, I love that. That's such a cheat. Like, that's so cheese, but it's like, it's good. It's really effective. I'm going to try it sometime, you know? But like, if you want to be a good copywriter, and you're immersing yourself. It's kind of like language learning, right? I mean, you're a language learner.
Exactly.
You've learned, I mean, you taught yourself English, and you taught yourself Spanish now as well, right? And like copywriting, French. I would say is, oh, you're learning French now. Oh, cool.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. Very cool. I like it. Okay. So yeah, like it's similar, right? It's like you have to immerse yourself in what the industry is saying. So I like those two things. And yeah, I agree with you about the networking and the connecting with people. I think the word networking, people, I don't know, maybe today it's not so bad, but like 5 years ago, the concept of networking felt like MLM for a lot of people, or like sounded like MLM, but it's not. It's about connecting with people, because human beings run the industry, right? So it's like humans, if you want to connect with somebody that's got a successful business, you need to know people. Like I've actually made like over $300,000 from one connection, and you know who it is. One person has introduced me to probably 6 email clients, and each of them paid me anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, and I kept them for a couple of years. So like $250,000 just from one connection. And another actual funny little story is there was a business owner that he actually didn't need, like I reached out to him and he said he didn't need any copywriter because he has a copywriter. And a lot of people just stopped there. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I want to actually know who that is, because I probably want to make friends because I really like your copy. I want to like connect and learn from this guy. So he introduced me to his copywriter. So he's like, hey, so-and-so, meet Matthew. He's another copywriter. You guys should connect. And I became friends with his copywriter. And guess what? That copywriter introduced me to all these other people. So I was like, you might think, oh, I'm just reaching out for the sake of reaching out. It's like, no, you need to build connections. So anyway, thanks for sharing all those things with us. It's really useful.
Yeah, for sure. And when you were saying about the knowing the industry, automatically I was just thinking about, what I'm doing right now, which is, I also started a Spanish teaching business. And it's basically knowing, how, I think 2 sides, right? What other Spanish teacher or Spanish business are promoting their product, and also what other, I think it's just 2 languages. One is the same vertical, and then you can go horizontal, right? What other language business they're teaching are promoting their business. For example, what other Spanish companies are promoting their products, and what other French, Italian, Russian, Chinese, German business are promoting their products. And you can take a lot of good ideas from other. Some are direct competitors. Some are very similar products, and in terms of the how you got to know the other copywriter, and then how that led to more connections. That I always love that story. It's great. It's great.
Do you think that being able to look at so many different pieces of copy all across the different industries is what made you one of the better copywriters for your clients? Because you've written in all the industries. Like 5 years ago, they were always teaching, like all the copy coaches, the legit ones as well. They would say like, just focus on wealth, health, or relationship niche, or personal development. Just one of the 4, the big 3 or big 4, whoever you're learning from. But you wrote all of them, and you wrote controls and all of them you dominated, you know? So like, how did you write for so many different avatars in such a short time and learn Spanish and become a Spanish coach and move? You did everything, you know? It's quite impressive.
I feel like it's almost like my own personal journey. You know, quite frankly, initially I was very interested in relationships. You know, like not just romantic relationships, but also like, you know, just in general, relationships in general, like friendships, communication, and that interest drove me to finding clients in that area. And I think initially it helped me a lot, but I also see the downsides of writing in the niche that I'm too involved in, because the good thing is I already know a lot of the lingo. I already know, you know, how the prospects think because I'm one of them, and so that really helped. But the downside is I also have too much of my own opinion. For example, if a company teaches doing things a certain way, I'm like, that is not the way that you do it. So I have a lot of my own input, and that could, you know, negatively impact my copy, because I would unconsciously even avoid their way of doing it, and I inject my own opinion. So it's I feel like if I were to do it again, I would just go straight for the company that I know that I'm 100% aligned, because that would only just kind of like create that synergy. So I already believe in their method, believe in their message, and it's just really natural. I don't have to adjust anything. But if I'm, for example, I'm really into dating niche, but I'm working for a dating coach that I don't really agree with, that is worse than me writing for a menopause program, because I have no objective like opinion on I don't know, menopause and how to overcome menopause, but I have too much subjective input into, you know, dating or in a personal relationship. So anyways, coming back, I just felt initially that interest drove me into that niche, and then after that it was just when opportunities came to me, and I thought that is pretty interesting. I'd like to give it a try. You know, like you mentioned, a lot of the coaches, they say, you know, decide a niche or decide a vertical. You know, if you're gonna either you do dating copywriter or finance copywriter, or like you're only doing email copywriter or VSL copywriter. I thought that was good for beginners because they kind of limit their the areas that they need to work on, or the areas that they need to really keep themselves updated. So if I'm writing only in dating, I only need to consume information in that market, you know, pay attention to what's going on in that market. I thought that would be easier. Or if I'm only doing email, that I can just, you know, look at what other email controls out there. But after I started to feel more comfortable with my own skill, I expanded beyond dating. I expanded beyond writing emails, and bit by bit, I found myself, you know, writing for BizOp, writing for, you know, parenting, writing for, you know, health, writing for, you know, weight loss and all that. And initially, it was always having a little bit of uncertainty in my own skill, because it's an industry that I wasn't really, you know, I wasn't really well versed in. For example, I had this one client that was in functional nutrition, and that was the first time that I heard the term functional nutrition, was when I started working with that client. But I had multiple instances like that. For example, another time worked with a, you know, programming coach. I had to write promote a book in the unit testing. So I had to learn about programming. I had to learn about unit testing and promote the book at the same time. But every single time that I had to do that, I found that I had the mental barrier, you know, limiting belief, I could say, you know, oh, this is going to be too hard. This is going to be beyond my comfort zone or beyond my skill set. And every time I found that as soon as I put that aside and do the work, follow the process of what it takes to write a good copy, every time it turns out pretty well. Do the research the product, research the audience, research the past promotions, and then, because at the end of the day, the principles in copywriting, they don't change. People always care about, have to realizing their better self, to feel a certain way, to feel that they're important, that they feel like they're going to the right direction, or avoid pain, getting closer to their goal. So yeah, it's really taking the same set of human emotions but put them into different contexts. And so after enough repetition, after doing work in different niches, in different forms of copy, and still getting good results, I just developed that confidence. And also another very important thing is having peer support, because like I said earlier, I had a group of copywriters that I meet with on a weekly basis. We critique each other's copy, and I'm comfortable with a few niches, another person is comfortable with a few niches. So when it comes together, and we kind of complement each other's strength, basically, and that helped a lot in building. I would say initially, to feel more certain that I'm just not throwing in some work that is low quality. At least it's reviewed by my friends, reviewed by my coaches, and I know that it's decent quality. And seeing the results over and over again, that just built up the confidence.
With peer support, wasn't there any risks maybe that the copywriters were like not the greatest copywriters that you could rely on for critique, or were they pretty good writers?
For me, it was a good range. I had writers that are pretty skilled, and I had writers that just starting out. And sometimes, I was surprised how everyone was able to contribute, because sometimes the greatest feedback does not come from copy experience, but more so from life experience. Because copy is talking to human, right? Perhaps someone have lots of life experience, dealing with other people. Perhaps just started copywriting, 2 months ago, but that person comes in with their, life experience, just dealing with people, and sometimes that could give you some fresh perspective, versus another 18-year-old but has been learning copy for 2 years. It's two sides of the equation.
I've often said that about the younger copywriters. Like, if you're watching and you're under the age of 20, I think this might be one of the biggest challenges for you, is just the lack of life experience. Because for me, what helped me to write a lot of copy for lots of different niches, because I've also written now, I've been as a coach as well, indirectly, for pretty much all the niches out there, in some way. I just pull a lot from my own life experiences. I've been in, I've lived in different countries. I've lived at home. I've lived alone. I've, been in relationships. So like I've got a lot of experience, whereas the 18-year-olds that still live with mom and don't have a job yet don't really know how to talk to somebody that's in corporate for 5 years. They don't have as much to pull from. So like, if you want to do more, like, okay, first of all, live a little bit, but also, hang around people living those lives. I think you being in a corporate job might have made it a lot easier to talk to the people that wanted to quit their 9 to 5, right? It's like you knew
Absolutely.
Some of the details of that world, right? And it's like, and same with relationships, like you have relationship experience, so it's easier. Whereas if you're just 18 and you've only had, like a 3-month relationship or something, it's very difficult to talk to 30-year-old. Yeah, like to talk to a 30-year-old male about relationships. It's like it's out of your exposure. It's like you might be able to talk about it theoretically, but like it's a lot harder to get the words on paper. And I think that's why the hardest client I ever wrote for was for millionaire software companies, because I was not a software founder and I was not a millionaire. And now I've got to talk to people that are millionaires and have kids and have a software product. And I'm like, how do I talk to these people? And so it took me like a good 5 months of literally with pen and paper. I would literally write what the guy was saying in his YouTube videos, in his podcasts, even in his emails. I would literally write like as word for word, until eventually I started to like download or like install these words into my head. And I finally cracked it. And it's like what did you do when you didn't know the industry or when you weren't like a customer or prospect of the industry to get the voice, to get the idea?
Talking to people that are in that demographic. There's something I did when I started to work with a company whose primary audience was moms, busy moms, and or grandmas. I'm I'm not any of these. So what I did was actually I went on Upwork. I made a post. I said looking for busy moms for marketing research purpose. And I put the project fee like $100. And I was like, I would like to interview you if you're a mom, if you have kids, if you have to work and then
so
cook
smart.
your family.
I love that.
I would like to talk to you. So I talked to three moms, I think, from different states of the states. And that helped me a ton. And I just recorded the whole call, transcribed, well, obviously using softwares to transcribe everything, just listen to them a few times. And really, and also putting a face onto that avatar. Because
Yes.
if we're just doing research, the standard stuff from Reddit, YouTube comments, perhaps we vaguely have an idea. But when I actually talk to people that are in that avatar, after talking to them, a few of them, I started to have that sense, have that feeling of what it feels like to be that person, what it feels like to talk to that person, what that person's day to day is like, and yeah, that helped me a lot. Perhaps that's one of the just go one step beyond what you are required to, because
I think that should be a standard nowadays.
Yeah, if you want to stand out,
so.
Yeah, that's for sure. And that helped me a lot, and I did not regret, spending that $300 because it helped me. It paved the road for me to work for my work with that company, which probably it was more than $100,000.
Wow, it's amazing. Yeah, it's a great idea actually to literally pay people to talk to you about if they're in the niche. I like that a lot. That's a good one. When I was with that software business, I listened to about 20 sales calls and transcribed a lot of the notes and listened to what they were saying. And one of the things that they often said was they can't crack scale. It was like this word that they liked, the crack. Like it was like a code almost, because they're software people. Like I can't crack this. I can't crack scale. I can't break through. And I was like, oh, that's so nuanced, because coaches don't say that necessarily the same as much. Maybe a coach would say something like break through the plateau or like scale, but these guys are like, crack scale. And I was like, another thing is like, I want to convert more opportunities, whereas coaches will say close more leads or get more clients. These guys would say convert opportunities. So like I would write all this stuff down and download it, and then after a while it just starts to speak like that, and it's like a game changer. So for everybody listening, this is like really, if you want to get good, immerse yourself in the product that the business has, all the details of it, immerse yourself in the actual customers. And another thing I found was really useful for me is like we were talking about earlier in the call, like consuming all the competitors' stuff, because they've also done a lot of research to speak to their niche, right? So like all the sales pages that they write, all the copy that they write, all the words that they're using, those words have been, with good clients, right? Those words have come from their customers. So like a lot of your research is already done for you by just reading a customer sales page. You can learn like 50% or 80% of what the pain points are in any industry if you just know who the top 3 competitors are. Like save you 10 hours of research just like that. And like I guess AI kind of helps with that these days too, but I don't. What's your thoughts? What's your thought on like AI and like learning the actual skill? Because I've got so many mixed views on this. Some people say you should learn AI really quickly. I've been a bit more like, don't worry, don't focus on AI too much so that it compromises your skill development. Like just focus on actually writing copy. But there's lots of different views on this.
Wow. Right now when I think about writing copy, I use AI to write every single piece of copy, at least the first draft. I think, and initially I was on the side of, I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to touch it. I don't even want to, try or experiment. And over time, I, gradually just, started to play around different features, different models, and trying out different prompts. And over time, I started to really kind of just love this tool. I see that as a tool, no more, no less. I feel the biggest advantage in this AI, era is to still know what is good copy, what is bad copy, and what are the key elements that good copy needs to have in order to convert. Because AI, if you unless I don't know, I haven't done enough research about this. I more so just experiment myself. But unless you have like extensive, like here are the 20 best sales letters, and then just study them, feed them into AI, and then perhaps ask it to rewrite some of these. Perhaps that will work, but otherwise you need to have the ability to identify. You need to have the eyes to, basically to identify good copy, and that sometimes comes from studying the classics. The classics from the 80s, the 90s, where internet wasn't a thing, where copywriters couldn't rely so much on split test, where sending a campaign by itself costs money, because each mail, I don't know, it's like a few cents, or that kind of stuff. I have these classic direct mail campaigns in my computer, and from time to time I read them. Obviously the language, they're from a different time, but a lot of the frameworks and the structure and the emotions that these materials are hitting, they're still relevant today.
So would you say for a beginner copywriter or somebody that's on their way to making more, how do you think that they could use AI so that they obviously deliver great work, but that not become dependent on it, that they don't have an opportunity to actually develop the core skill? Because like you and I think we were writing copy and we got pretty strong as writers before AI hit the market. So by the time AI came out, it just helped us more than anything. But I'm seeing a lot of newer writers and they're using AI, and I can tell that they're using AI just by reading their copy. And I don't think that they can see why I can see that they're using AI. They're like, What do you mean I'm using AI? I'm not using it. I'm like, I can see your bullets. Your bullets look like AI. I can tell,
Yeah, let's embark on this exciting journey.
Delve in right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. There's definitely an AI tone, and I've actually never thought about this, but I think what I would do, two sides. If I'm a native speaker, then I would just ignore AI completely for a period of time and focus purely on, studying the classic, basically like how people would do even before AI didn't exist. Studying them, hand copy them, and read them, and that's what I would do. If that person that we're speaking to isn't a native English speaker, I would just leverage AI to do grammar checks, to check, okay, review this, and or check this if the language is aligned with American English, I don't know, British English, or Australian English, whatever language, whatever market that you're writing to. I still use AI to check my grammar because English is not my native language, so I do need it, and it's great. It replaces Grammarly. It replaces the Google Doc. It's internal grammar check, and I'm really grateful for this feature because I stopped receiving these grammar complaints from my client, because they're really embarrassing. If a grammar point out was like, hey, this word doesn't belong here. We don't say that in English. And I say, damn it, yeah. So these are the simple things that AI can help fix. So for non-native writers, they're really a great tool. Or coming up with idioms, right? Say if I want to do having a great day, or I'm having a really hard time, give me 10 common idioms or common phrases that people would say to express that express that idea. And some of these are really, really good. So these are the ways that I would do as a beginner. I would not rely on AI to write copy, because I feel like that would dilute my perception of what is good copy, what is bad copy. I would rely on the proven controls, the classic direct mail sales letters. Once I feel like I've got a solid grasp of what is good copy, and that will probably take some time, to be honest, at least a few months, at least 3 to 4 months, I think. And then you can play around with AI to come up with different first drafts, and then to see if you are able to improve upon that first draft. For example, when I'm writing copy right now, I'm not really even conscious that I'm doing it. I just copy paste the first draft, and I'm reading it and I'm editing it at the same time, almost like what the copy chief is doing. And I view AI as my copy cup, right? Just sending me a so-so copy draft, and I write copy based on that version. And I think that would be my recommendation for someone that's starting out and want to leverage AI to speed up their learning.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think for beginners that learn copywriting, AI can be your worst enemy, actually, because you can become so dependent on this. I actually had somebody, because I was looking to hire a junior copywriter, and this one person applied to the gig on Upwork. I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure that they speak one word of English. They know hello. And their entire conversation with me was clearly them copy-pasting into ChatGPT or something and getting a response in their language, and then saying something in their language and putting it back into English, and then like offering their services as a copywriter in English. I'm like, how are you even... I mean, props to them for being so resourceful to like use AI to try and delve into the English market. But it might have been a bit easier if you had just learned English in the first place. I mean, I think if you want to be in this industry, you've got to put the amount of effort that you've put into English. I mean, you don't come across as a non-native speaker in any way. I mean, our conversation flows very smoothly. How did you even get so good at English? What would you say like people can do to like really level up their English skills?
How much time do we got?
Oh yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, like what's the secret to languages?
What's the secret? That is a big topic. And I learned English. Well, obviously I took English at school, but that didn't really help much, as people would know if you're listening and you learn any sort of language at school, that didn't really help, especially with speaking. For me, it was really an obsession with the English language, and initially I really wanted to become a simultaneous interpreter. So
cool.
That was my drive, that was my goal. And with that, I was, just spending probably way more than someone would imagine into learning this language, trying out different methods, doing the simple practices. And I really spent a lot of time. I even memorized the dictionary to improve my vocabulary. I spent 250 days, memorized about 8,000 words. And I realized that was probably not worth it.
What do you use, like Memory Palace or Memory Palace it, or like mnemonics, or how did you memorize 8,000 words? Did you have like some memory technique?
I just used flashcards, just like old school flashcards. I had a notebook,
flashcards.
Just like every single day. It was like today, 10 words, 20 words. I would start from A. First word, abandon, always, and then till the last word, probably it's like xylophone or something. Literally starting from
that's awesome.
The first word in the dictionary, skip the words that I already know, and then memorize the new words that I didn't know. Yeah, fun times. I did that in high school.
That sounds good.
But I feel like in the context of learning copywriting, as a non-native English speaker, I think it's really about understanding how I would assume that person wants to write for the American market. Just really understand how the Americans talk, what are the words that Americans use, what are the words that they don't use, and immerse themselves in that language. Yeah.
What is immersion?
Immersion for me, it's active back and forth. So it's not just like, well, I guess it definitely helps to watch some TV shows or listen to some podcasts. To me, it really helps to just actively use language in that environment. It could be making friends. It could be going to Toastmasters, for example. That helped me a ton. And making friends, like I already mentioned, doing whatever thing that you're passionate about in that language. So, for example, if you like golf, well, learn about golf in that language. If you like dog training, then watch videos on dog training in American English, and that really helped because it's more active in that way rather than just watching some TV shows.
That's a great idea. And I think that part of that as well is like if you're doing something that you like, or learning about something you like, when you talk to people about the thing, then you actually get to practice. Whereas if you're watching a TV show and they're talking about some crime investigation, I don't really know if you're going to be using crime vocabulary with a random friend that you meet, right? But you might be saying like, oh, I like golf, and then you use words that relate to golf. That's interesting because, obviously because I'm a native English speaker, I never had to learn to speak English in order to write copy. For me, I would still say copywriting is a new language. It's a dialect of English, maybe you could even argue for, like, because of the way that people phrase things and the way it's a type of English in a sense, because there's certain words that people buy with and certain words that persuade people more than other words, and so you got to learn the nuances of it. But it is still English, But when I was learning foreign languages, that's what I also found. Like at first, I memorized. I don't know if did I tell you, I learned all the Japanese characters with flashcards as well. I memorized like 2,200 characters. Like every day, I would have my flashcards and I'd write the character and I'd look at and I forgot all of them, almost all of them, after I stopped the process. But I could recognize them because I couldn't recall them from my memory, but I could recognize them in contexts. And that's when I started realizing like how important the immersion aspect was, because it would be like, I saw the character, but now I saw it within the context of something I like. And then I had a good association. Oh, okay, I remember. And then, now, I know the character for ramen, for example. I know the characters in the word sushi. It's like, it's very easy. It's very easy to remember those characters because I like sushi so much, I think it's the same here. It's like, you can't just, I don't think you can be. Do you think you could be a copywriter just for the money, or do you think you have to actually like the skill? So a lot of people will just want to make money, and they feel like they're going to just become a copywriter. It's like the best way to make money in 2024. I don't know. What do you think?
I feel like if you are passionate about copy, you can become a copywriter for any niche. If you're passionate about, or if you just want to use copywriting as a tool to make some money, then you can probably make some good money in the niches that you're passionate about. So if I don't like, because I see a clear difference from people that are passionate about a certain niche, and copywriting is just their way to enter that niche to create an impact, versus people that are truly lovers of the art of marketing, the art of writing copy. Because what they, how they spend their time is completely different. So if I was just talking to this client, so I use that as an example. If I'm a woman, I overcame thyroid issues, and I'm working for this company that help other women overcome thyroid issues. I don't need a lot of copy skills to do well as a copywriter in that context, because I have so much info already just by my personal experience. And all I need is, the copy principles, a few tools to help me, learn about angle creation, learn about, split testing. And I can do very well as a copywriter in that area because of my personal experience. versus if I want to be, a true A-list copywriter and I can write for all different niches, then yeah, you do need the passion for the art. That's my take, at least.
I love that though, because that does make a lot of sense. Like my very first client, the first client I closed as a copywriter for $1,500 was initially $2,000, but we actually had a little bit less scope after we did some work. So it was $1,500. Got the check in the mail. They actually sent it in the mail because it was a local, it was not local, but it was like, it was in Canada. So they actually mailed me a check. I took a photo of it somewhere, but I really should have just kept it as like a memory. I really should have. I think I have a photo somewhere still, but you know what the business was?
Language learning.
Yeah, right? It was a language learning company.
I know.
Yeah, like it was language learning. And I said to myself, you know what, like, I remember because I was struggling to get clients. It took me about 9 months before I really broke through with copywriting. And I was also doing sales during that time too. So like I didn't put all my effort into copy, but my first like dollar, I guess, from online stuff came after 9 months. And previously before that, I was just like teaching I was working at a coffee shop and also teaching like French and English as a teacher because I just was obsessed. I was obsessed with languages, and I was teaching a pilot. I was teaching this pilot French, and I was telling him like, oh, I think I need to go to college. Maybe I must go and study like chemistry and become like a scientist or something because they pay well. Or maybe I should become a financial. And he's like, no, focus on business because where there's money, there's money. And he's a pretty successful guy, And I was like, all right, then I guess I'll. And then I got into sales and marketing and copywriting and stuff. But language, because I love languages. And I remember my outreach was so personalized. Nobody would have been able to get this client except me because I just said to them, like, literally, I've used your product for 4 years to like help me with language learning. And I've reached these levels in language learning thanks to your product. And I even met my girlfriend because she speaks these languages too. And I'm like so happy. I love your product. I just want to write you guys email copy because I'm a marketer and like I want to show my appreciation. That was literally like the general message. And I got the deal because they were like, oh yeah, like I wrote them some free emails as a thank you, and then they wanted more emails, and then I closed them, But it's like, even back then, like they're still using the emails today. They still use the same email, the same email sequence, the same 10 emails I wrote them. They still use it. I think they make over 6 figures a year from my sequence, just like passive, right? Maybe more, maybe every quarter. And it's like, why are my first 10 emails ever that I ever wrote like so good, even now? It's because I was like absolutely obsessed with that industry. I was the perfect customer for that business. It was the easiest thing I've ever done in my life to write those emails. And my favorite project I think I ever did too. So it's like, if you're watching this and you want to know like where you need to go to have an unfair advantage because of the saturation, go serve businesses where you're a customer, because I think you'll have an unfair advantage. There's a copywriter I work with. She's at 6 figures. I'm going to interview her soon, actually. And she writes copy for a business that helps. She's a mom, and that business just happens to be like a mom entrepreneur. So like, duh, There's another lady that she makes like $4K a month from one of her clients. And it's a beauty and skin solution, and she like loves beauty and skincare. Like, I remember I was on a call with her, and I was like, I don't know why I'm giving you critique, because like I can't. That this world better than I do, Like even though she's a beginner, she just not beginner, but like intermediate. She's like she knows anyway. So that sounds like I really like that take. But then, like you said, if you want to be able to write in every industry, even the ones the niche, then you got to really love the craft of writing. Harrison, this is great stuff, man. I think a lot of people are going to find this valuable. If they want to learn more secrets from you, where can they find you?
Or if they want to learn Spanish from me.
Yeah. Where can they find you?
I'm going to share both. So you can find me on mainly on Facebook, just putting my name, Harrison G, and that's where I sometimes hang out. You can also find my Spanish business. That's my passion business that I started 5 months ago. It's called 30-Day Spanish Accelerator. You can just go to the website. You can see my entire funnel, www.30dayspanishaccelerator.com. Or you can find me on YouTube. That's a new YouTube channel that just started, Speak Spanish with Harrison. So they're not about copywriting at all, but you'll see a lot of the copy principles that I've learned over the past 5 years in the videos, in the funnels, basically in the funnels that I put out in that business.
You'll learn all this. You'll probably start learning Spanish because Harrison's very persuasive.
Hopefully.
So yeah, no, I love Spanish. So you were really committed to that. Like this last thing for everyone listening, like when we were working one-on-one every week, I remember we were like writing email copy together for a few of your clients. You would tell me, oh yeah, like like I just got off a call with someone and I got another call lined up later, and tomorrow I got a call lined up, and the day after I got a call lined up, and the day after I got like, oh, you have a call literally every single day, maybe even 2 calls with Spanish speakers every single day. And it's like, how did you learn? You just tunnel vision sometimes, right? It's like goes back to that principle, like you want to learn Spanish, like every day talk to Spanish people. You want to learn copywriting, hang out with copywriters and immerse yourself in content that's copy related. Thanks, Harrison. Appreciate your time today.
Appreciate it, Matthew. Pleasure to be here.